My amplified unit, salute! Try that again. Check. Check 1 2, check 1 2. BC in the unit, coming at you. There you go, much better. My amplified unit, salute! Just brewed a Dunkin' Espresso extra in the coffee bar. So we're going to be amped up for this upload. Welcome to the Coffee Bar. BC coming at you with all the latest in the pro wrestling world. All the news. BC's got you covered on this Friday, August the 16th, 2024. Just hours before Smackdown and just a couple weeks away from Bash in Berlin. Some big breaking news coming out of WWE and the pro wrestling world this morning. First, it was MVP officially removed from the WWE roster page. MVP has been officially removed. Bobby Lashley stayed on. That was huge because we had heard many reports, including my own people down in Florida, told BC they are together, like same day their contracts will expire. So that's what we were going on. So when MVP got removed, but Bobby stayed on, we were thinking, wait a second. Bobby told us he had all these things lined up. Bobby said he just does not see eye to eye with Hunter Hearst Helmsley. They just don't mesh. They haven't even worked that often together. So there's not even room to mesh. There's been no opportunities. He says he's tried. He's not a Hunter Hearst Helmsley guy, right? That's what he said. Triple H has his guys. That was a quote. He's just not one of them. So they just don't see eye to eye. That's hard to work somewhere when you don't really see eye to eye with your boss, right? Or the person in charge. So Bobby, the writing was on the wall with MVP. MVP has been saying time after time, he's been going to Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, with all these ideas and trying to resurrect the Hurt business. And what if we do this? And he's been denied every time. So MVP, we pretty much knew. Bobby Lashley, from everything that was being said, he was going to follow suit. And we heard that it was the same exact day. But MVP was removed, Bobby stayed on. So you started thinking, well, hold on. Did they come to a last-minute agreement maybe, right? No. As of this recording, just an hour ago, Bobby Lashley has officially been removed from WWE's roster. Bobby Lashley has no more affiliation with World Wrestling Entertainment, him and MVP. It's wild to conceive that it doesn't seem long ago when the Hurt business came upon the scene, right? And we all were like, whoa, this could work. You already got the dominance in Bobby Lashley. He's already been to the dance. He's going to be the big muscle behind it. You got the brains and the talker, if you will, in MVP. And you have everything else in Cedric Alexander, right? He's finally going to get something, we thought. And Shelton Benjamin just kind of taps into all of that. Maybe not so much the mic, but Shelton Benjamin is more than just a good hand. You put all of them together, Hurt Business came upon the scene and we were like, this could work. The way they were booked originally, we were like, this is working. And then here we are, fast forward, and Cedric is on speed. Shelton Benjamin has been fired, released. MVP and Bobby Lashley no longer affiliated with the company. Their contracts expire and WWE does not renew. So literally, her business imploded. And it didn't take long to do such. Because this has been slowly happening for many, many months, right? I mean, MVP, when's the last time you saw him? When's the last time you saw Bobby Lashley with good booking? When's the last time you can remember seeing Cedric, right? I think he was a part of, I think he's Smackdown. I don't even know. I think he's playing around on, main event and speed when he's not at catering or told to stay at home. So that was pretty, and it's ironic because later in this upload, we're going to talk about another faction that's pretty much imploded. It already is, right? And I think you guys know exactly who I'm talking about. It's probably going to be in the thumbnail or the headline. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes. That has to do with the ladies. But Hurt Business, that's probably the biggest story as of this recording anyway. That's a huge story that we've been working on for a while. And, we knew it was coming. But when it actually happens and you see Bobby Lashley removed from that roster. It's like, where did it go wrong? Like, how do you have somebody like Bobby Lashley and you just let it you just throw it to the wayside? You're like, oh, we have Bobby Lashley on our roster. All right. throw him with the Profits. Okay, well, what do you want to do with them, Hunter? Nothing. Just throw them with the Profits. Maybe we'll see what they do. So then you turn the Profits heel out of nowhere. I mean, they were stale. I'm okay with a heel turn if you do it correctly. They just turned heel out of nowhere to join with Bobby. It fell flat on its face because they didn't give anything to this Street Profits Bobby Lashley faction. Did absolutely nothing with it to the point where Profits had to go face again out of nowhere. So they went heel out of nowhere. Then they went face out of nowhere. And I think that's where they stay now, right? As faces, I believe. Although I think tonight they're taking on DIY in a face versus face number one contenders match. So that's only going to split your audience more and have people boo them. Or at least not cheer for them. So this is what I mean about just the strangest booking with Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He just does not care about face, heel, heel. And that's okay on one hand at times, but massively that is not okay in pro wrestling most of the time because you're just going to damage, another hint for later on's conversation, you're just going to damage these wrestlers in the process, man, because one heel is going to out-heel the other, one face is going to out-face the other, right? We saw that with Hogan Warrior WrestleMania 6. Vince did something wild, big face versus face. Okay, it worked for what it was. Unfortunately, Ultimate Warrior was very damaged after that match. Hogan says it best when he was going in that little ring. They had the little rings that sent you to the back. Hogan got on one of those tiny rings that went up the entranceway. Everybody was looking at Hogan, not Warrior. And Vince, everybody saw that. And then you fast forward, I use it all the time. Bronson Gunther, heel versus heel. Remember when Gunther beat Bronson? Bronson was in the ring. They tried to give you that. They wanted you to feel sentimental, right? An emotional attachment to Bronson. Oh, poor Bronson. Why? He's a heel who got beat by another heel. So no, the crowd, it was crickets. You guys remember, there was no sound going on. And they had the camera on Bronson and they had to cut to the back because they knew that was not working. Bronson got out-heeled and nobody cared about Bronson, nor should they have been. Why would anybody care? So then you chuck him with a heel. This is booking 101. Some things you can go out of bounds. It's not the NFL. You can go back into play, right? The play isn't dead in WWE just because you went out of bounds. Sometimes it's good to go out of bounds. It's great to think outside the box. But you can't lose focus on the foundation of professional wrestling, like what it was built upon, the nucleus of it, the core of pro wrestling. Don't go outside the realm of simplicity, I guess would be the best way to put it, right? Don't overcomplicate it. The core of pro wrestling is just good guy, bad guy, face, heel. And this is the type of booking where it just seems like Hunter Hearst Helmsley wakes up, chucks baloney at the wall. If it lands on some names, that's who's going to face each other on that night's Raw or SmackDown. Or at the pay-per-view, guys. Gunther and Damian, heel versus heel. You have Cody versus Kevin Owens, face versus face at Bash in Berlin. And the whole community is like, huh? Oh, okay, maybe this will work, right? Because you have people that literally, no matter what Hunter Hearst Helmsley does, they will praise it, right? We all know those. It's even outside the realm of tribalism. They really want WWE to go to the pinnacle. They really are just glad that Vince is gone, and then no matter what Hunter Hearst Helmsley does, we praise it. And if it's bad, blame it on someone else, right? One of the creative writers that disobeyed. Blame it on Bruce Pritchard. But blame it on Vince. Who knows? Maybe he he was phoning in that day to Hunter, right? Vince was outside trying to get in. Hey, do this. This is what I want to happen on Raw, right? They won't blame Hunter though, and it's wild to me. And then when we do, it's like, wow, why do you blame Hunter? You want things to go back to the Vince days? No, I want booking that makes sense. I just want logic, right? That he's doing things that are good. Have you seen the SummerSlam review? I praise SummerSlam. I think it was an 11-2 board, good, bad, and ugly. If you give me a good show, right, on paper, a lot of it didn't make sense, but as long as you produce, I'm going to praise it. I'm going to put it up on a pedestal. When it doesn't make sense, when it's absolutely awful, we have to talk about it. We ripped Vincent Kennedy for nearly 5 years on this channel. We have to do it with Hunter Hearst Helmsley as well, just like we would have Eric Bischoff back in the day had we had a review, or Dixie Carter, or a Tony Khan. But you got to hold him accountable. Hunter Hearst Helmsley has absolutely... He's taken somebody like Bobby Lashley and he's just like, take it or leave it. I can leave it. When MVP and Bobby Lashley, I mean, they go together. It's complete peanut butter and jelly. It's macaroni with the cheese. It's Lana and Rusev. It's Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar. It just fits. And you could do so much magic. So you don't want to resurrect the Hurt Business, but you did want to put Bobby with the Street Profits, knowing that you had no plan, so you're just going to, in effect, hurt the Street Profits even more in their credibility, because now they don't even have an identity. Are we faces? Are we heels? What are we doing? Who knows? We're still going to lose every match. And for Bobby Lashley, you put him with the Profits, knowing that it was a lose-lose situation. And here we are. Profits out of nowhere. Expecto Petroleum, wave your magic wand their faces. Because it's straight magic. Just like that, snap of a finger, blink of an eye, drop of a hat. Bobby Lashley is out of the company. So that's it, guys. That's the first big story we had to spend some time on. I know we've talked about this a lot in recent uploads, but that's because that was a big story developing. Unless at the 11th hour, WWE, Hunter Hearst Helmsley can come to an agreement, a new deal with Bobby, which is always possible. But it just looked like Bobby had already moved on. He tried with Hunter, he said, it just didn't work. And that leads me to believe that Hunter just didn't want to do anything with Bobby. So Lashley has other things lined up. He's got a big boxing fight lined up. He's training for a big marathon. He's got other fights he wants to do. So it's not even just jumping into another wrestling company like AEW, or if he goes to TNA, that's awkward, right? Funny, but awkward, because he'd probably be going right back to NXT because they have that new relationship. So he'd be right back with WWE. But I think Bobby would do something with AEW when the time comes. Not that I don't know what they would do. They're overstacked, right? If I say stacked, that will give them a compliment. They're overstacked. This is a situation where you're inviting everybody onto the boat to go party in the middle of the ocean, not realizing that you invited too many people. When you get to the middle of that ocean, you're just going to sink. And that's what's happening with AEW. They have so much talent, they don't know what to do with it either. You know, this is something that we said for years with WWE. Like, dude, all these talents just wasting away at home. It was the Rusevs. It was the Brodys, right? The Luke Harpers. All of them actually going to social and expressing their displeasure for sitting at home when they want to be working, right? Anybody else, you sit home and you get that money. They didn't want to. They wanted to do things. They wanted to be in storylines, have matchups, and they were told to sit home. Well, now AEW's basically doing the same thing. No, basically, they're doing the same thing. So then you add in another megastar like Bobby Lashley. I don't know. I mean, of course, Lashley deserves another, and I don't use the word deserves often, but of course he absolutely deserves to be on the highest of platforms. But for AEW, I mean, nobody else really moved the needle for you. Not even my beloved Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, Edge, Okada, Will Ospreay. I mean, from every one, you have WWE major stars like Sasha Banks and Edge going over. They didn't move the needle. Big stars from New Japan, Okada, Ospreay. Nothing moved the needle. This week, finally, they went over 700,000 viewers again for Dynamite. 703,000. They've been sitting at 600 some odd for the past few weeks. I mean, so Bobby Lashley going over, is this to move the needle? Because I can't say it's going to do that. And that's not a testament to anything that Bobby's doing wrong. It's just the business model for pro wrestling right now. We might tune in to see the initial debut, see what you're doing with them, and if fans don't like it, they're out. You saw that with Mercedes. A lot of people were interested. What are they going to do with Mercedes? They did nothing from the jump. A lot of people jumped off. Sadly. So, who knows, man? Bobby Lashley is free falling. Hopefully he's not fall. Hopefully this is free and he's just going to ascend. Bobby Lashley MVP, the latest to be out of WWE. This comes 24 hours after Beth Phoenix says she is also out, wanted to do more with the company, and they were just like, we got nothing for you. If we think of something, we'll call you. They never did. Beth Phoenix's contract runs out. Natalia's, Becky Lynch's, we're waiting on word for all of them as well. This is their new business model, WWE. They don't want to look like the evil empire, so they're no longer releasing people in droves. Now they're just letting contracts expire, and so you're not a mean or upset employee for the next, because you're not even an employee, you're an independent contractor. But to make sure that you're not upset for the 2 months leading up to your contract expiring, they're telling individuals that you have nothing to worry about. We're going to re-sign you. You're doing great. Right? How many people have been saying that, right? Dijak said that. Cameron Grimes said that. And then it gets to like a couple days before and they're like, oh, by the way, we're not releasing you. Stay home. You don't have to show up to the arena. So they can't bitch and complain to anybody. So they're trying not to be the evil empire in one aspect, but they absolutely are in the other aspect because they're being very deceiving to their own talent. Contracts expiring is the new release. They lose a little bit up front because they have to pay them to the expiration, but they're going to gain way more by not re-signing. Bobby Lashley is a couple million on the books. WWE just saved a couple $1 million a year by not re-signing Bobby to at least 5. That's $10 million. They know what they're doing. It's deceptive in the process. Unit, I'm going to get another swig. That was a big first conversation. This might go a little long because it's not a lot of news to dish out, but there is a lot of conversation within it. So what I'll do now, because that was a longer convo, I'll take a swig. We'll go over some quick ones real quick. Like, for instance, this wild, no pun intended to the wild Samoans, but this wild Afa Anoa'i story. You guys hear this? Man, that's a good coffee. So Afa Anoa'i, okay, he's alive, first of all, for those that know about this story and they're like, wait, what? Afa Anoa'i, unfortunately in poor health. I believe it was his son that left this lengthy statement about Afa's health and passing on. He didn't say he had passed, technically, but in the statement, I mean, it was alluding to, it just didn't sound good at all, right? So this left a lot of individuals, including Meltzy Boy, who I always tell you guys, take it with a grain of salt when you hear anything from David Meltzer. Meltzy, I guess, went on to say that he had passed Afa Anoa'i. He had passed. Here's the thing. Here's the kicker. He did not pass. So his daughter, Afa's daughter, had to then leave a statement talking about, like, basically a whole fact check thing, right? Like, he did not. Please read it carefully. He never said he passed yet, right? It's not looking good, yes, but he's still battling, still hoping for the best. So he did not pass. So the daughter had to then leave that statement, and then Meltzer had to come back and leave a correction. Now, guys, corrections happen. First of all, when you give news in the pro wrestling world, there's times you're going to be wrong. It's just going to happen, especially in pro wrestling. When they say things change, they do by the moment. And I got some people down in Florida that give me a lot of info. You guys know that if you've been with BC for a while. And it's reputable. It is valid info. I sit on a lot of it because I'm like, I need a little bit more before I give this to my audience. And I'm glad I do that because a lot of times things change and I'm glad that I did not tell you. Other times I'm like, nope, this is pretty damn reputable to another level. They're hearing it from other reputable sources. I'm just going to tell you guys. If it changes, it changes. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But there's been many times, yeah, I've absolutely been wrong on news that was valid at the time. So I don't fault Meltzy for that, trust me. But one of the things you can't do, right, when it comes to somebody passing on, you have to verify that 1,000 times over. You can't distribute that type of info just based on a statement. Or maybe you checked with one other person and like, that's what I'm hearing. And then you distribute that because even though I tell you to take whatever Meltzy says with a grain of salt, there's people that take it for gospel. Can't do that. So this dude had to correct his earlier post and say, hold on, he's alive. Could you imagine, man? You can't do that. It's a Meltzy report, right? I always say with Meltzy, it's always like before he goes to bed, he'll post up, the sun's going to be up in the morning, or there could be clouds. And by the way, there's a chance of rain. Well, obviously. So you're saying the sun's going to be up, but there's a small chance that there'll be clouds, or a chance, which is a good chance. And there's even a small chance you might see a rain shower, which is always possible as well. So where's the news, right? So this is a Meltzer report. Afa, he's alive, he's dead, little mixture of both. Plans change. Right, that's a Meltzer report. He always gives you both sides so he can't be wrong, or at least he covers his ass. And then afterwards he says, who knows, plans change. Afa, he's alive, he's dead, somewhere in between, plans change. Subject to change if Afa is alive. Guys, from what we know as of this recording, Afa is alive. And for those that don't know, Afa is, man, I gotta get this right. He's the uncle of Roman Reigns, correct? And the brother of Sika, who just passed, I believe, Roman's father, which would make him Roman's uncle, Afa. I hope I got that. It's a big family. I tried to get it right? I don't want to get it as wrong as Meltzy Boy, but I believe that is just to give you guys some wayfinding within the family. Afa, brother of Sika, I believe, and then Afa's nephew is Roman, because Roman's father's Sika. When I say it's a massive family, man, La Familia deep. Pretty cool, actually. I mean, wow. Could you imagine? You have enough family to run your own island at that point. Hey, in all seriousness, we wish Afa the very best. As of this recording, he is still rocking. He's still battling, so that's what we want to hear. And I can't offer any more. I don't know enough of the situation, what he's actually battling or anything like that. So till I get word on that, I'm just going to leave it at that. Afa, thoughts, strength, amplification to you and the fam. Salute. I also want to discuss street profits. Street trash. This was a name supposedly, all right? Now, I have not heard reputable reports on this, but it did go around, so maybe it's like a WrestleVoti type thing. Not sure. But it's one of these stories that kind of caught on and then quickly got watered down. So it caught on like fire, and the hoses sprayed that story down real quick. And it was the fact that the Judgment Day was going to be now called Street Trash, or at least Damian and Rhea's version, and whoever would join them, if anybody. They're going to be known as Street Trash because of what Gunther called them, and then he kind of used that as like a badge of honor, right? Yeah, we are Street Trash. I think he said it means something different or not as bad in Puerto Rico, I believe he said. I forgot exactly what he said. But I guess street trash has like a meaning in Puerto Rico. So this story, this word going around was that street trash was going to be the name for Damian and Rhea. There was mega backlash, as it should be. You can't do that. Even if it means something wonderful in Puerto Rico, it wouldn't matter. You can't call Damian and Rhea street trash in professional wrestling on Monday Night Raw or on SmackDown or going to these, you know what I mean? Like, how do you promote that, man? How do you say, Bash in Berlin, it's Judgment Day versus Street Trash? Like, how do you pull in new viewer? How are you going to get that next family to watch, right? Who's wrestling? Judgment Day and Street Trash. You think the mom and dad are going to sit down and go, oh, which one's Street Trash? Oh, man, you can't do that, man. And it just sounds, that's not a wrestling name, not for a tag team, not for a faction. There was immense backlash. That's it. Forget BC's words on it. There was immense backlash. And again, at that point, it wasn't even a reputable story, or at least we're not able to verify that it was reputable. But there was enough backlash, man. So now the new report is that WWE has heard the backlash. Hunter Hearst Helmsley has heard, They're actually saying I'm doing something wrong, right? Hunter got ridiculed for something. Whoa! To quote Big E, it's a new day, yes it is. I couldn't believe it. People were actually outraged at something Hunter Hearst Helmsley created? Well, finally. Immense backlash, if this is even true. So now the new story is they're doing away with that concept. They're not going to be called street trash. But supposedly, there is still going to be some merchandise in some references to street trash. So yes, that was just a real segment on a BC upload. That's the news, man. I'm giving you guys all the news in the pro wrestling world, man. And that just happens to be one of the biggest. I'm taking the biggest stories for you guys. That's a big story. I don't know how it became such. I don't know how anybody would even think street trash would be a good name for a pro wrestling entity. Guys, Raquel Rodriguez, her return is imminent. Also, Charlie Flair, imminent return, and Shotzi is soon to follow. We believe the trajectory is Charlie Flair first, Raquel Rodriguez second, and then Shotzi. That's what we believe. Now, on the latter part of that, Michin has been pushing for a tag team, to enter a tag team with Shotzi. Now, on one hand, I get it, right? You're saying, well, BC, that kind of fits, right? You have, here's my lighting up here. Hold on. There you go. Why is that there you go. Put that at a 6. There you go. Gotta have the lighting right, man. So, Shotzi and Michin, you would say, Mia Yim, you would say, okay, they kind of fit, right? Like BC, they got the funky hair, right? Maybe Mia Yim can go back to the blue hair, the neon blue hair. Shotzi can go back to the neon lime green hair, right? They can be the neon ninjas, right? They'll come out like ninjas and they'll have the neon hair blasting out. Right, we'll just call them the Neon Ninjas. So on one hand, you're like, BC, I kind of see it because they look like they belong together. That's fine. You can't just pluck every individual wrestler, throw them in a tag team, and think that's your best option when it's not. They may be looking at it like that's their only option. How are we going to put Mia Yim over? How are we going to get her over? When Shotzi comes back with a stacked women's roster that we're already having trouble with, how are we going to get Shotzi over? Oh, I got an idea. Throw them together and we'll waste them away in a non-existent tag team division because that's what they're doing. Alba and Isla are your current champions. They don't feel it. They haven't been booked to be such. When they won the titles, they were plucked from catering. They just took two individuals, Alba and Isla, and they're like, you're a tag team. They took Bianca and Jade, said, you're a tag team. Bianca, show Jade the ropes. Go down the line. Caden and Carter and Chance, who I actually like. They actually mesh well. They became a tag team. That was not the original concept. You could go down they threw Chelsea Green with Piper. Every team, basically, is just two individuals thrown together. But if you're not going to do it right, you're not going to be able to recreate what you did many moons ago with the natural disasters, earthquake and typhoon, or IRS and $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase Money Incorporated. They were thrown together. They felt like real tag teams in a real division because they were such. Now you got no division. You got individuals you didn't book properly first as individuals. And then you threw them together in a tag team thinking we'd care more about them than we did when they were individuals. Not the case. Earthquake was already a superstar when he linked up with Typhoon. $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase was already a superstar before he linked up with IRS, and vice versa. They already had their own individual gigs and trajectory. So what are you doing? You're going to take Mia Yim, Michin, you're going to take Shotzi, you're going to throw them together, and what? You're going to throw them a tag title? More than likely, it's hot potato anyway. Everybody gets the title, they'll hold it for a few weeks, and they'll drop off the face of the planet again. So you got to look ahead, guys, because history is always repeating itself, especially within the world of pro wrestling, WWE more specifically. It just always does. You want the best for these individuals? Well, book them. Like now's the time to start thinking, man. You got Mia off TV for the most part. You got Shotzi, who's been away for so long. this is what should be already being thought about. You have 675 writers, basically. Slight exaggeration. 675 writers. One of them can be dedicated to what to do when individuals come back. Have creative for Charlie. Not just Charlie comes back as the queen, takes on the other Queen Nia, and takes Queen Nia's championship to become a 15-time champion. You got to get more creative than that. When Raquel comes back, just regurgitating Rhea Ripley and Raquel. You got to have better than that. And Shotzi just coming back to throw with Mia. And that's it. That's what they had planned all these months. And they're only, when they took their crayon and their Post-it note, they just put Mia links with Shotzi. That's it. And then we'll go from there. Every morning, Hunter Hearst Helmsley will wake up and throw baloney at the wall and see who they face, what story they'll be in. Hope this makes sense, man. If you're so excited to see Shotzi and Meech, and just think about what BC said, because I had this conversation with so many of these teams that have been linked up together, and I was right every single time. Every single time I've been right. And these are situations I don't want to be right on. It's not a pat on the back, trust me. I want to be so wrong. They have nothing. But the good news is that these ladies are on the mend. Raquel, Charlie, Shotzi. We believe Charlie, Raquel, Shotzi will be the order of return. And then you go into the other big conversation, just like our first one with Bobby Lashley MVP officially being done with WWE. Damage control. Damage control, because what BC is seeing now is all damage, no control. Right? Damaged and out of control should be their name at this point. In fact, I will go as far as to say WWE should just implode the group officially, because it's done anyway, guys. What am I talking about? Think about it. Think about it. You have Asuka out, injured. You have Dakota Kai out, injured. You have Bayley out, turned on. And you're just down to two. And they're tweener pirates. You don't know if you should cheer them. You don't know if you should continue to boo them. And then this latest report, listen to this latest report, because this just makes it all the more confusing. So, supposedly, and I always hate this word because there's no such thing, but this will give you insight on what WWE is viewing damage control, which we already know. I don't know how that's a report anyway. But they use the word, these reporters, these insiders, they use the words, the internal roster sheet. There's no actual such thing, guys. There's the public roster sheet, which is for all of us to view. And that's the legal roster sheet. You cannot promote anybody not with the company because they can sue WWE. That's a public roster page for all of us to view. And then there's the only internal sheet they have is the usage sheet. Who is available, right? It's an availability sheet that any company would have with their employees. WWE has it with their contracted talents. It's an availability sheet. That's all it is. Now, maybe they put an H for heel and maybe a B for babyface and, in parentheses after the names, maybe, but it's not an internal roster page. There's not two separate. It's just an availability page. That's all it is. But apparently, WWE has now gone full throttle with viewing damage control as faces. We already know that. That's not the question we're asking is how. Another question would be why. None of it makes sense. I have said this many times over the last couple of weeks. They want you to think damage control is now baby faces because they got out-heeled. Remember what we talked about earlier, right? How Hunter Hearst Helmsley books faces versus faces, it doesn't help anybody. And he books heels versus heels, doesn't help anybody. And this is one of those scenarios where damage control defeated Carter and Chance, maybe even Val, maybe it was a sixth woman, but at least Carter and Chance. They defeated the faces, and then after the match, a new heel group came in, Zoe, Shayna, Sonya, and they beat up the heels, not the faces. They beat up damage control. And from that night on, WWE was like, they're faces now. So they want you to forget everything, right? That they turned their backs on Bayley. The whole setup for Bayley winning her title at Mania was damage control turned their backs on them. All the dastardly deeds, all the beatings, and because another heel group came in and beat them up, now we can cheer for them. So the bad guy came in, beat up the other bad guy, and now we can cheer for the original bad guy. Yeah, that was wrong. You out-healed them. No, we're on their side now. How does that make sense? It doesn't. It's rhetorical. You guys know that, man. You guys know that. That's why you listen to the reaction. Fans don't know what to think. You got some fans that want to cheer them because it's Io and Kairi, right? Deep down, we love Io and Kairi. But there's a lot of fans that they're not just going to easily forget that they turned on Bayley. They did all those beatings, all those interferences, how they were booked, all those promos. Io, not too long ago, was flipping out backstage. And after all they did, and now fans are just supposed to just cheer them, right? Wholeheartedly, with full amplification, get behind Damage Control. And WWE was probably like, trust me, we can easily manipulate them. They'll do whatever we kind of push them towards the audience, they'll go along with whatever we do. And I don't blame them for thinking that, because usually a lot of the audience does that. And because of the awkward booking, we're getting weird chants and everything is just, it's shades of gray. There's no more black or white. It's just shades of gray. To where you have Gunther coming out now after he wins the title and the whole crowd is chanting, "You deserve it." Gunther is an absolute full throttle heel, supposedly, right? I mean, he insults the audience, calls them street trash, and yet he wins the title and everyone's like, "You deserve it." The guy's been on the main roster a couple years. He's had a damn good run. Vincent Kennedy McMahon gave him the IC title. Hunter kept it on him. And then when he lost it, he started his program for the championship and he won it. People are acting like this dude's been on the main roster for 15 years and never won a title. Like, what do you mean he deserves it? Because he works hard? Everybody. If that's the case, Tozawa. If Tozawa wins a title, we gotta all go, "You deserve it." It doesn't stop at that point. If Candice LeRae wins a championship, we gotta all yell, "You deserve it." If any member, as a tag team or individually, of Pretty Deadly wins a championship out of nowhere, we just got to yell, "You deserve it." The whole roster then, just because they worked hard. Gunther, a straight up heel, and everyone's yelling, "You deserve it." That's not fun, man. You want to know that there's a big face coming out, you want to yell, "You suck. You," right? You deserve it. Braun Breaker is supposed to be a heel. This dude comes out, "You deserve it." And even the faces are cringing while that chant, right? LA Knight just got that after his title. "You deserve it." LA Knight has told us many times in interviews he can't stand things like that. So as they're chanting it, you can tell he's very uncomfortable. And LA Knight totally deflected after the "You deserve it." He's like, "I'll tell you who deserves an ass whooping." And then he talked about Santos, I believe. But he totally deflected it. He did not want to hear that. Point is, you don't have to yell, "You deserve it" to every single new champ. Nia Jax, when she won the title the next night. What was it? Did she come up? Or was it after she won the title? Whatever it was. Everybody chanting out, "You deserve it." I think it was after she won the title, right? And then afterwards, with the crowds that she was in front of, people are chanting, "You deserve it" to Nia Jax. Stop. She's a heel. Even if you believe she actually deserves it, just play along a little bit, right? Play along for everybody that truly wants to think, okay, there's some faces, there's some heels, and they want to get behind the next feud. Everybody deserves it these days. We get it. Everybody that wins a title deserves it. Do we have to do the stupid chant every time? 2 minutes into a match, just because they did some good sequences, do we have to start chanting, "This is awesome," just because they did 2 minutes of sequence? That doesn't make an awesome match. Stop. But that's what we do. And because of that, Hunter Hearst Helmsley in WWE is like, dude, we can do anything, and they're going to eat it up. They're going to eat the whole buffet, and then they're going to say, "Please, sir, Mr. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, can I have some more?" And Hunter Helmsley and WWE will keep or keep dishing out to be devoured more BS stew. And that's what they tried to do here. They're like, listen, we don't really have an explanation. The heels came in, beat up these heels. We're not going to explain anymore. We're not going to do anymore. We're just going to parade out Damage Control as the faces now. And we're going to hope that everybody tags along and understands that. Well, a lot of fans did not. They didn't play along. They didn't buy into it. And now you have a situation where the Pirates, the Sky Pirates, because that's all we're down to, right? That's all we're down to. Asuka's out. Bayley's out. Kari. Bayley's out. Asuka's out. Dakota is out. You're down to Kairi and Io. That's it. Bayley, the first one out of the group. And then Asuka and Dakota, unfortunately, injured. You're down to just Sky Pirates. And you have butchered Damage Control so badly that they're tweeners. They don't know where they fit in, and the crowd doesn't know where to fit them in. So at this point, unfortunately, and it's unfortunate to say this, trust me, because you guys know I respect every single one of those ladies. Io, I feel, is one of the best female wrestlers on the planet still to this day. I put Kairi on a pedestal for one of the best Macho Man elbows you're going to find in this business. And Dakota Kai, something in NXT, when she was in NXT, just clicked with BC, and I'm like, that's one of, I'm going to support her to another level. And Bayley, come on, I don't think anybody does not praise Bayley's work and work ethic. Asuka is one of the, she's the, when you talk king of strong style, you'd have to go queen of strong style. Asuka's right there. The whole group I would put on a pedestal. So it's unfortunate that I have to say the following. But it has to be said. WWE at this point just has to completely implode Damage Control. They're done. And I say that because they're pretty much already imploded. Nobody's left. It's just two individuals, Sky Pirates, the tag team. That's it. There is no Asuka. There is no Dakota Kai. Bayley is already face, has been. She was turned on by the group. The group is done. There's only two individuals left. And they don't know what to do with them anyway. They're getting out-heeled. They became faces like the Street Profits out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. That's one thing Hunter Hearst Helmsley does way too much of, face heel turns. Because he's trying to shake things up. I get it, right? He's trying they feel like they've tried so many things with individuals and it's just not clicking, so we're just going to turn them. Vince has done that for years with people like Kane, people like Nia Jax, people like Charlie Flair. And to this day, a lot of the audience still doesn't connect with Charlie Flair. She's got 14 titles! And there's a big portion of the audience that just is like, Charlie, take it or leave it, we can leave her. And why? Because Charlie has turned face heel 16 times. Kane has turned face heel 21 times. Big Show has turned face heel 85 times. Nia Jax, face heel 12 times. When you do that, you're not just confusing your audience anymore. What you're telling them is they don't care. They don't know what to do with them. Why should we know? And we don't. When you start turning them like that, they don't really have an identity. They don't really have substance to what they're doing or who they are. And at that point, you lose the interest from your audience, and that's what happened with Kane eventually. That's what happened with Big Show. That's what happened with Jax. That's what happened with Charlie. And, if you're not careful, man, that's what you're going to do. The next time Street Profits turn heel, at that point, just split them up. If you got nothing, Montez is one of the best wrestlers on the planet right now, and he can rock the mic. Why you're tying this dude down? And then they just send up Mello. And they're just like, well, we have Mello now. He's going to be in the mid-card. We'll stick Montez. No, before there was a Mello, there was a Montez. Montez should be pushed to the moon. Dawkins has improved majorly, by the way. But unfortunately, Dawkins is an anchor to Montez's superstardom. Doesn't matter anyway, because there's nothing for them. Do they get beat tonight by DIY so you can have the same damn rematch we saw a few weeks ago when DIY lost their tag titles in just 28 days to the Bloodline? Or do they say, no, we're not going to do that rematch now. Street Profits, you go up, you lose against the Bloodline. And even if they win championships, the Street Profits, will anybody care? Have they already been too damaged? All of these questions. It's booking 101. It's not that hard, man. You can put together some of the best booking for everybody on your show. It just takes a little bit of patience, a little bit of effort, literally a little bit. A little bit. If you want to go a little more, awesome. A little bit of effort, a little bit of time needs to be put into it. A little bit of focus. Some resources might have to be brought in. Okay. Effort, time, resource. Everybody can have a really good segment and a really good storyline and really good character development. Or you could keep going business as usual, putting these individuals in the weirdest of most awkward positions, turning them left and right, and confusing your audience. And when you confuse your audience, they just leave. Studies have shown when your audience is confused, they just say, peace, deuces, ooses, check you. So yeah, damage control, just do away with them. When Dakota comes back, there is none. When Asuka comes back, why even put them with Kairi and Io? And I know it's the easy way out for Vincent Kennedy and it's the easy way out for Hunter. Well, they're all Japanese, put them together. No, that is unacceptable. They're individuals. Don't just place people with another individual just because you believe they're just the same. They're individuals. If I had Asuka and Io on my roster, if you think I'm just throwing them in a unit together just because they're Japanese, no. Excuse me, not excuse me, whichever. Sorry, not sorry. I have way much more value in stock put into somebody like Asuka and Io. I'm way more creative than just, Japanese, throw them together. Just because you get an individual. Every single time they get somebody, we're talking about Lucha Bros. And the running joke is, where are they going to be put in? LWO or LDF? Why do they have to be lumped in with any faction? Like, if you have talents, man, think about, how can I be unique with them? You should be having fun. It shouldn't be a chore to book individuals. And that's what I feel WWE is doing. It's like a chore to try to get creative for individuals. These are TV shows in prime time. You're on the USA Network, about to go to Netflix. You're on Fox, Smackdown, Raw. You should be having the time of your life having fun. Remember all the stories back in the day that Vince Russo and Ed Ferreira and Vince McMahon, Pat Patterson, they would get together at Vince's pool, his big mansion. They would get together in the pool, and that's where they would write. And this is what the off times, because there was many times where Ferreira and Vince would just be at Vince's home writing, watching Springer or whatever. But a lot of times Vince would have everybody at his house, and that's where they would do rewrites or whatever and just have a ton of fun. Vince would stop the writing at times and just push people into the pool. Absolutely just have fun, and they had fun. And guess what? It showed. It was called the Attitude Era. Because they were just having fun. They were just like, screw it, man. Like, how can we take everybody we have and let's just have a ton of fun, and let's make this stick and make it memorable, and let's make people go, I have to tune in next week. Not just I want to, I have to. I told you this was going to be a longer conversation because it opens up Pandora's box, and it's justified. It needs to be had. Damage Control, Street Profits, and so many others, LDF, LWO, all of these individuals are a microcosm of the grander scheme in totality that is the issue. And the issue is poor booking for 98% of your roster. That falls on Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Whether you want to hear it or not, that's tough. That's who it's falling on. There's a couple 2-tree things going on really good, and because of that, people are like, WWE has been saved. Or Hunter is cooking. Judgment Day, yeah, it went well. Don't forget, Rhea's injury is what propelled that. The Wyatts, the verdict is still out. We hope the Wyatt thing is going to be successful. A couple weeks ago, they had a pretty damn good debut main event. Last week, completely kept off the show. Bo Dallas with a little vignette. That's not how you do a follow-up. That's not how you capitalize. That's not how you carry momentum. But all right, we'll see if they do anything Monday. Aside from that, Bloodline, that's nowhere near what it was, obviously, back in the Sami Zayn Bloodline days, right? Which, by the way, was Vincent Kennedy McMahon. That was all his vision. But this Bloodline and the bootleg and the way it's went about, decent, I'll give you, even good at times, but very bad as well. But you got the Judgment Day thing, the Bloodline thing, the Wyatt thing is still kind of out. Maybe one other thing, maybe. I can't think of it. Right? Little segment. Bronson's finally turned, it looks like. See if that continues. And then everything else, it's not good at all, right? The women's division it's sad, man, right? If you're being honest, the women's division is absolutely sad. There's no two ways around that. I don't even know what's Like, if you were to look at everybody on the roster for the ladies, right? It's the best way to do it, right? Factually. If you were to take all the women in WWE, like if you had the roster in front of you, all the ladies, go down it and ask yourself if they're being booked correctly or even good. Even decent, most of them. Like, are they relevant? Is what they're doing right now on WWE television? First of all, are they on WWE television? Is it relevant? And is it propelling a good storyline? And is the company benefiting from it? Ask yourself. Go down the... Sadly, 98% bare minimum. No. Tag team division? It's non-existent. There is none. There's a bunch of tag teams, people thrown together. A couple teams like Pretty Deadly that are actual tag teams. And then there's... Or AOP as well. And then there's... It's just no... There's no division. There's no other way to put it. There's no division, guys. Every single PLE pay-per-view, what do we do to get a championship match? First of all, the title matches aren't even at PLEs. I mean, you can go to SummerSlam. There's 3 tag titles, right? How many were defended at SummerSlam, right? You think just 2 out of 3? Maybe, unfortunately, it was just 1 BC? No, 0. You have 3 tag titles. These are championships. You showcased 0 at SummerSlam. Not even a kickoff show. Nothing. The ladies and both sets of men's tag titles were not showcased at SummerSlam. They're rarely showcased at any PLE. So, when you don't showcase your own division and tag teams and titles, then don't be shocked when fans don't care or see right through the fact that there is no division whatsoever. So there's just no division. So my original question a minute ago, right? Ask yourself, how do we get to challengers for every single PLE for tag team titles? We do number 1 contender matchups. That's it. There's no storylines, right? You're like, oh man, did you see what happened backstage? And then it propels, and it's believable that they would be going for the titles. That's what we used to do back in the day. You didn't have to explain it to people. You didn't have to do this corny win and get in tournament or win and get in battle royal or tag team turmoil. You didn't have to do any of that, right? A storyline was fired up, and it was usually with a tag team that you would absolutely see as the next number 1 contenders anyway. Things were done right, is what I'm saying. Nowadays, every single PLE, and it's not just the tag titles, right? You see it with the mid-card titles especially. Sometimes it's even for the world titles. But you see these damn stupid tournaments, mini tournaments or long tournaments, or tag team turmoil, or a tag team battle royal. And the winners, you win and you get your chance at the title in 2 weeks. Well, that's not even enough time to do any storyline, right? So the whole story is just this team won the tournament, so they're the number 1 contenders. I hope it all makes sense, man. I know that's a lot. It's a lot to digest in this conversation. But it has to be had. That's... You gotta get creative. There's no other way to say it. You gotta get creative. You want to start a real tag team division? You're going to have to get creative. You're going to have to dedicate time, energy, resource to it. When a DIY team wins the titles, you might want them to look and feel like title holders, like champions. Not just have them lose in 28 days so you can play some hot potato. If you want people to look at your division as legit, you might want to take the championships, the title, the gold, and have it defended at your pay-per-views, or at least one of your biggest PLEs of the year, like SummerSlam. You might want to do things like that. You guys know I'm right. That's not nitpicking at all. It's a pro wrestling podcast. If you're new to the channel, it's what we just discussed. We love pro wrestling. We want every one of these companies. There's no tribalism at all. I want WWE, TNA, and AEW, the local bingo hall. I want everybody to succeed. We all benefit from that. More to talk about, more fun to be had, hopefully. More interest, more intrigue. But so much needs to be corrected because for years now, we have developed this redundant formula. And a lot of people take WWE's formula and they do it. It's just a redundant formula that we have to get out of. And BC might be the only one to call that out. That's fine. But I know my amplified unit, most of anyway, feels the same way, that we're in this redundant formula. There's some things being done correctly. That's awesome. And when they are, for WWE specifically, I will fucking hoist up myself, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, on that pedestal. But there's so much that has to be corrected. And it's simple. I'm not asking anyone to move mountains in WWE. This is simple. This is booking 101. So let's take it full circle. Let's go back to where this conversation started. Damage control. They're done. They're done, guys. Even if Dakota comes back from injury, Asuka comes back from injury, even if Bayley was to rejoin the group, where are you going with them? They've thrown titles on Damage Control, right? Tag team titles. I think it was Asuka and Kari. Io had the Women's Championship. They've had titles. And then WWE just kind of wiped their hands, right? They're like, all right, we got titles. We did our job, right? That's booking them correctly. They gave them nothing with them. So to the point where they became not even meaningful. Io put that division on her back. She was dealt not really good stuff, but she turned everything that was not so good into damn near great. That's how good Io is. It doesn't take a lot to propel somebody like Io. You just gotta care. Woo! That's a convo! Man, that's why we are original in this community, man. We have the conversations that nobody really... Right, it's kind of like it's one of those microwave societies, right? Everybody just wants to get a quick conversation in, hear a little bit, and then take off. No, we're gonna relax. We're gonna have a coffee, and we're gonna talk about what we love, man. Pro wrestling. It's not... I wish people would just not look at it as like nitpicking or critiquing negatively. I wish people would just look at it for what it is. We're trying to help. We love this. Man, like, what are you doing with so much talent? There's so much talent being wasted. To a lot of us, it's just unacceptable. And the good news is it can be fixed simplistically. Nobody cares in those walls to do such. Guys, SmackDown tonight. Let's talk about that. Oh, man. You ready? Here we go. These are just facts. This is what I mean. Let's go to the mid-card of WWE. Do you guys realize on SmackDown tonight you're going to get Melo and Andrade for the third time? Melo has barely been in WWE for a cup of coffee. Barely. He's about to face Andrade for the third time. Again, we used to rip Vincent Kennedy for this type of booking. Just nonstop rematches. Melo hasn't even been around for a cup of coffee and he's already taken on Andrade 3 times. That's tonight. LA Knight, Santos Escobar. 7th time tonight within the last several months. Some of those were, I believe, tag team. Maybe even one triple threat. And then the majority was all one-on-one. 7 times tonight. LA Knight, Santos Escobar. How many... That's what I mean. If you're a fan that can eat this up and be like, this is awesome, and you have no problem with it, that's fine. Much respect, that's your prerogative. But how can you be shocked when there's fans that are like, dude, we have to do better than this. I've already seen this match several times. To a lot of fans, this isn't fun. Not on paper, because it's nothing to be excited about. We've already seen these matches. And then when they're wrestling for 10, 15, 20 minutes... It's not that fun to us. A lot of the sequences are the same. Why? It's the same people in the same match. So much respect if you eat it up, but, we want the same respect if we're not going to eat it up and say, please, can we have some more? So I don't have the full SmackDown preview with me. I stopped after those 2 anyway. I believe, like I mentioned earlier, I think the DIY Street Profit match is tonight. Because those two qualifying tournament matches to get to this final match, I'm guessing it's right. Those were last week. This would be this week, and then you would have 2 weeks, 2 weeks to try to build either DIY or Bloodline or Street Profits and Bloodline out of nowhere. If you guys are wondering, yes, we are hearing that it is going to be a free bird rule, which we already knew last week with Solo Sikoa putting up the 1 and the Guerrillas of Destiny hoisting up the tag titles, that pretty much told you. Even with Jacob Fatu out, and he was one of the ones that originally won the tag titles, but even with him out, Guerrillas of Destiny was always going to defend those titles more than Jacob Fatu and either one of them individually. I hope that makes sense. It's called the Freebird rule. It's happened for the longest of time. Not just the Freebirds. I remember Demolition. They used to have Axe, Smash, Crush. The New Day did the Freebird rule, didn't they? And there was a few others. So this is not that, this is no harm, no foul. I don't mind this at all. It makes the most sense. Jacob Fatu, Guerrillas of Destiny always should have been anyway. They always should have been the one that they're the real tag team. This is what I mean. They're the real tag team. If you're going to defeat DIY and take the titles after just 28 days, let it be Guerrillas of Destiny at least. Jacob Fatu should have a whole nother trajectory singly. But doesn't make sense, but doesn't even matter. Jacob Fatu's out, and it looks like Guerrillas of Destiny will be defending majority of the time until they lose it. And Jacob Fatu, whether he's cleared or not, I'm hearing that they do want to kind of keep physicality between Roman and Jacob Fatu. Just keep it to a minimum to non-existent. That's the right call. Because you just saw Guerrillas of Destiny look like idiots last week. Roman Reigns came in and just demolished them. Crushed your tag team title holders. For all intents and purposes. Again, Freebird rule, they're all champions. But and on the flip side, of course, you're not going to have Roman get beat up by him. But why have that level of physicality? Most fans just wanted Roman to come out and talk. It's been months since WrestleMania. Just tell us a little something. You don't even got to get physical. You don't got to make the bloodline look like idiots. Most people just wanted Roman to talk. I was down with some physicality. I did not think he was just going to take Guerrillas of Destiny and absolutely just demolish them. Now people have to look at Guerrillas of Destiny and go, yeah, they can believably beat 2 individuals, because that's what you have to make people believe now. One Roman took out Guerrillas of Destiny. That's great for Roman, by the way. Not so much for the tag title holders. So, but they don't want Jacob Fatu and Roman interacting. I think that's the right call. Because you cannot do what Roman did to DIY. You cannot do to Jacob Fatu. And vice versa, right? You can't have Jacob Fatu just absolutely annihilate Roman Reigns. He just got back. So, let me just make sure. I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah, there was a couple stories I was but this already went pretty damn long, man. The coffee is good. BC's already amped up on 4 other coffees before this upload. And 2 clearly Canadians, if we're going to remain fully truthful. So, BC was already amped up coming into this upload. This coffee helped the cause. But until next time, guys, again, SmackDown is tonight, so we'll have the review within the next 24 hours. So, yeah, until next time, and there will be that next time. Top guys, we are out. On your way out. If you haven't already, you should have already, but smash that up. You guys know the deal, man. Makes BC know. Lets BC know you're fully amplified. Helps out the algorithm. All the good stuff. All right. Within the next 24 hours, the SmackDown review. It's not looking good on paper. I'm hoping the show rocks out, though, so we can talk a lot of positivity for the review. We'll see. Stop by the coffee bar. We'll do it all again within the next 24 hours. SmackDown review. Subscribed and notified. You know the deal. Check you.